Shalom. My name is Yehonatan Ben Devoy. Getting back to our lesson about inheritance rights, last week we expounded in certain things related to inheritance portions. We concluded that inheritances are given to families. Today we're going to explore familial affiliation. In other words, how a person gets an inheritance and why. Moreover, what it means for certain laws. Notice in Numbers chapter 26, verses 53 through 54, "Unto these the land shall be divided for an inheritance according to the number of names." The number of names, that's the exact verbiage. "To the many you shall give more inheritance, and to the few you shall give less inheritance. Everyone shall his inheritance be given according to those that were numbered of him." The land is apportioned according to the number of names. Well, what does that mean? Well, in context of the chapter, they listed the number of male names. The only people who weren't male were the daughters of Zelophehad. So we have to assume, according to the context, that makes the ones who establish the names are males. Here, let me show you. Numbers 26:42. The sons of Dan, after their families. Of Shusham, the family of the Shushamites, of the families of Dan, of their families. Here, no women were listed in their names. Why is that? Because the males established the names according to the law. Numbers 26:35, the sons of Ephraim, after their families. Of Shetuliah, the family of the Shehulites, of Becher, the family of the Becherites, of Teron, the family of the Teranites. Here, no women were listed in their names. Why is that? Because the males establish the names according to the law. Numbers 26:29. The sons of Manasseh, of Machir, the family of the Machirites. And Machir begat Gilead, and of Gilead, the family of the Gileadites. Here, no women were listed in their names. Why is that? Because males establish the names according to the law. In fact, go to Numbers 26, verses 53 through 54. Verse 54 illustrates that everyone, it says in the English, everyone shall his inheritance be given according to those who were numbered of him. According to the Hebrew, though, it says, a male will be given his inheritance by the command of his registering one. Essentially, the point is that inheritances are given to males because it's through the male that it is through a male that a person is allowed into his family. Basically, a great analogy of this is marriage. A woman takes on the last name of the husband. She loses her name from the previous family that she was a part of, but because of the marriage in a legal sense, she is dependent upon her husband, not the previous family. While taking this analogy, when a woman marries a man and takes on his name in a lawful sense, basically it is by legal bounds. She is included in his family and is thus included into his inheritance, since males establish the names. Then, when they bear children, it adds more numbers for the male's inheritance, as per Numbers 26:54. a bunch of children, you get a bigger portion of land. The less children, you get a lesser portion of land. Now, let's say a woman's parents die while she is unmarried. She adopts a kid. Since they have no person / male who has an inheritance, then the kid is reckoned as a bastard. According to the Torah, in fact, it's against the Torah. See Numbers 23, actually Deuteronomy 23, verse 2. A bastard shall not enter the congregation of Hashem. Until the 10th generation shall he not enter into the congregation of Hashem. Now, of course, people would adequately point out, what about the daughters of Zelophehad? Well, notice what it says in Numbers 26, verses 33. And Zelophehad, the son of Hepher, had no sons, but daughters. Why does it point out that he had no sons, but daughters? It's because it's letting you know that this is an extraordinary situation. That rather, because of the fact that they had no sons, the inheritance was given to the daughters, but they still had to marry within their own tribe, because you're dealing with inheritance rights. In the fact that they had to marry within their own tribe, it has established an ordeal by which that the one redeeming the daughters, or in this case, or marrying the daughters, was a good practice by which the names would not get watered down. So that way, it wasn't like, say for instance, she gets married to, that she carries on the inheritance, but let's say she marries someone from the tribe of Dan. The tribe of Dan would ensure that that practice would ensure that the fact that this, the tribe of Dan would get a bigger portion of the inheritance, as opposed to, just inheritances remaining inside of the tribe of Manasseh. Basically, it would be considered stealing. So in truth, nothing really changes. They still give for an inheritance. Moreover, this should be seen as an exception to the rule. Exceptions happen every once in a while, but not all the time. But essentially, males establish the names. Now, with this stated, this ensures the fact that when it comes to the seed of Levi and also offices in that regard, they can't change hands. Because basically, since males establish the names, essentially, and if it's dealing with the seed of a certain tribe or whatever per office, then basically the male has to get the woman pregnant as per offices.